네, 여러분 안녕하십니까? 크립토인사이트 진행을 맡은 김세영입니다. 최근 AI 에이전트 열풍이 이 크립토 시장을 정말 뜨겁게 달구고 있습니다. 특히나 AI 그리고 블록체인의 결합은 올해 가장 주목받는 트렌드 중 하나로 떠올랐는데요. 이러한 흐름 속에서 AI 에이전트 시장을 선도하고 있는 프로젝트를 소개해드리겠습니다. 오늘 CEO 인사이트 시간에는요, 카이트 AI의 시장 CEO 자리하셨습니다. 소개해드릴게요. 안녕하십니까? So, hi, it's such a pleasure to have you on the studio today. Could you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. Thank you for having me, first of all. And hello, everyone. This is Chi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kite AI, which we are building the next generation payment infrastructure for AI agents. And a little bit about myself. I come from AI and big data background. I did my PhD at UC Berkeley, focused on machine learning and causal inference. After that, I was a founding member of an AI startup that focused on automated machine learning platforms. And after that, I was leading product management for data engineering solutions at Databricks, one of the leading Web2 data infra companies right now. And then I started Kite with my co-founder.
From a personal career perspective, was there a specific moment when you felt like I have to build myself?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, I think I always want to build startup. So since since school, I have been trying here and there in different things. Most of that failed. So that's why probably Kai was kind of like the first to try that's really made some progress and name. And in terms of why we started Kite, to be very frank, we didn't start the company as this, like original kind of like thesis. It's just at the time, I think, when I worked in the AI and big data industry, we felt like the infrastructure at the time could be like better and more user friendly. That's how we started the company originally. But when we start working with the customers and also with the evolvement of like AI industry and everything, so this opportunity or like this kind of like challenge has really like emerged, and we see this is a huge opportunity for as part of this paradigm shift that you can really build a next generation infrastructure company. So that's why we started like really like pushing for the mission of Kite. And in that sense, we also kind of like thinking what we are building is kind of at the cutting edge of the convergence of AI and the blockchain. That is really using blockchain as an underlying infrastructure to solve a fundamental AI problem.
그 AI와 블록체인 사이에 그런 장벽을 허무는 그런 걸 좀 메인으로 했다라고 말씀을 하셨는데요. 그러면은 많은 AI 창업자들이 지금 뭐 모델이나 앱을 만드는데 대표님은 왜 그 AI 에이전트가 돈을 쓰는 구조로 만드셨는지 그런 부분에 대해서 질문도 좀 드려보겠습니다. So most AI founders focus on models or apps. So, but why did you focus on the concept of an AI agent spending money structure?
That's a very good question. First of all, actually, I come from the model background.
Oh.
So that's why no matter it's my PhD or like the first AI startup that I was a founding member at, we're actually, especially that startup, our goal is to help the less AI modeling kind of like expertise people, we call like a citizen data scientist, to be able to build model very quickly without even writing code or without even like knowing the underlying like mechanisms. So very, very familiar with that word. And also like for application, I think, of course, like with the model, the goal is actually to power like all kinds of like AI native or AI enabled apps. But why do we choose Kite? To be frank, I think it's a combination of the business like timing and also also like the what's the from first principle perspective, what is the next biggest or one of the next biggest challenge to move forward in this like era of agentic AI. So right now we think the foundation model itself is marching towards a certain degree where agents can really be intelligent enough to do a lot of things. And if you're talking about building like a foundation model company, then like the general purpose model is definitely not for like a newcomer anymore in some sense. It's like already kind of like a very established game. That's there's already like some very big like potential winners there. So from business perspective, to me, it's not like a good, like a space to enter at the moment. For apps, I see a lot of people are building that. But honestly speaking, that's also based on the personal interest and experience of myself and my co-founder. We all come from very infrastructure background. So that's why we think like what we see, a lot of opportunities and a lot of gaps right now are still like in the infra level to further power the app side, which is also like the area like that we haven't touched that much as like founders background. So that's why we chose to build like more the Kite path. But why agentic like payments, identity stuff is really what we see the biggest gap right now is agent is smart enough to be able to do a lot of things. So instead of like focusing on what they can do, we want to focus on with what they can do now, how we can really enable them to do autonomously. So then in this case, money and payment is such an important thing. If you are thinking about future autonomous agents economy, that you have a personal assistant that's helping you to book a flight, to make a reservations and buy a holiday gift for Christmas or like Korean national holidays. That's all require the agent be able to really spend money with good control. So that is the thing that we see like the mark where the industry is marching towards, and we see there's a huge gap between the current financial and payments infrastructure stack versus what AI native or agent native infrastructure is needed.
네, 경제력과 AI 에이전트를 결합한다라고 말씀을 하셨는데요. AI 에이전트 자체를 좀 독립적인 경제 주체로 만들어서 자율성을 좀 부과한다, 그런 쪽으로 좀 포커스를 맞추고 있다라는 식으로 말씀을 하셨습니다. 그럼 Kite AI를 한 문장으로 설명을 한다라고 한다면 이 스테이블코인으로 움직이는 AI 결제 인프라다라고 말할 수 있을 것 같은데요. 그럼 일반 사용자 입장에서 보면 이게 내 일상에 어떤 변화를 가져올지도 좀 궁금하실 것 같아요. So Kite AI is summarized as AI agent payment infrastructure powered by stablecoins, right? So from an average user's perspective like me, how will this actually change or impact our daily life?
Very good question. The easiest way to think of that is all those infra and stablecoin payment channel and everything will be in some way hidden away from like our daily user experience, which means if you are asking your agent, personal assistant, for example, like ChatGPT or like Anthropic Cloud to do something for you that's require like a payment, it's supposed to be done smoothly that you don't even know that underlying, there's a stable coin or USDC, USDT that's are moving from the agent, let's say the agent wallet, to the merchants or like the digital service that the agent is paying for. So I think from that perspective, that type of like primitive change should be very abstract away from the users so that they don't feel like, I need to learn something new or I have to be, just basically have anything that block them from moving from the existing payments methods such as like credit card or like a banking ACH account transfer to like the next generation infra and which is empowered by stablecoin.
그러면 이제 거래 수수료가 거의 0에 가깝다라고 들었는데 이렇게 비용이 낮아지면 뭐 기존에는 불가능했던 방식이 어떻게 바뀌는지도 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다. So I've heard that transaction fees are close to zero, right? So with such low costs, what is the most anticipated use case for AI that was previously impossible?
Well, I think the most exciting norm change for us is micropayments. It's like the agent now, literally you can think of, they can pay per something, which means an example is we will subscribe, let's say, to Wall Street Journal or like a Bloomberg with an annual subscription or like even monthly subscription. But this time, it's not like that anymore. when the agent is reading like the article from this journal, they can just pay per article, because that is like something that is allow the agent to pay by the literal fractional information or like data or like service that's required for completing that particular task workflow. So another example, concrete example you can think of is now let's say you are a financial analyst that you have to do some reports on a new industry like crypto or like let's say AI, for example. Then you want to probably access the agent. If you ask ChatGPT to do that, most likely ChatGPT need to access some like financial data, such as like a stock index data from NASDAQ, let's say, NASDAQ data API about like NVIDIA, Microsoft, and some like a big 5 companies, how their stock price looks like with how much contribution come from like the AI transformation and all the stuff. So in that case, in order to complete that financial reports, then the access to those type of like data sources and with that multiple like API costs, that's required the agents to pay for that. But with the old business model, for example, it's going to be very hard, because usually that's required those type of like service providers, no matter it's like financial data providers or like other type of providers, required to do more like a subscription fee model. So that's what really like unlock another level of like a granularity and autonomy of like a autonomous like a economy that's being built around like agent, and in some ways like machine to machine type of transactions. And because machine is very granular, machine is very programmable, so the payment itself will be so such as well. So that is what we think like the micro payment itself is going to be super exciting.
그럼 요즘엔 사실 뭐 솔라나나 베이스 같은 그런 코인들도 많은데 굳이 새로운 L1을 만들 필요가 있었나라는 질문도 좀 나올 수 있을 것 같습니다. 이런 부분에 대해서도 좀 여쭤볼게요. So now with fast chains like Solana or Base already available, some might ask, was it really necessary to build a new L1? So how would you answer this question?
That's a very good question. So, and by the way, we got these questions constantly from the very beginning. Like even when we raised the money from investors, they will ask the same question. So I think it's the answer here, or the thesis here is less about like, we're building a faster chain. I think that is not the reason why we are saying like, we need a customized layer 1. But it's more like, we think there's a lot of primitives that are necessary to be built in an Asian native way. A quick example here is we also like talked about the transaction fee goes down to 0.
Yeah.
And why also I think I didn't touch like one of the key points in the previous answer, which is actually good to add it here, is with the transaction fee being going to near 0 and with a fixed transaction fee, then enterprises or like the large scale agentic transactions will feel comfortable and safe to run on a chain like Kite. Because if you run that on Ethereum, not Ethereum, like Solana base, which also call themselves like a fast chain and like a low cost fee chain, you still might run into like the spike or like a gas fee congestion problem. That's sometimes one transaction itself will cost like multiple dollars, like a few dollars, which is crazy, because if we talk about the micropayments use cases, maybe the transaction amount itself for that particular transaction is just a few cents.
Yeah.
But you have to pay a gas fee of like, like a very high, then it doesn't make sense to make that transaction.
Yeah.
The infra cost underlying is like way more than the value of the transaction itself, which to us is one of the very strong, like hurdles for like the enterprises or like businesses to largely adopt agents to do stuff, and even for users. So that's one. And also when it comes to like the agentic transaction behavior, that's potentially is going to be like millions of transactions that's required like in like a second to do a lot of like workflows together. Then how can we like settle that in a better way which in our design, for example, like we add like state channel as part of the solutions there. A lot of those, like again, agent native primitive, and including what we probably later on will touch, like the governance, the delegation side, are not natively built in to the current blockchain solutions, which we think is such a necessary solution to really build from a first principle perspective that treat agent as first class citizen, rather than just being, yet another additional actors that can leverage those existing solutions for. So that's why we think like we're really building that for like we call agent native, or really treat agents as the first class actors here.
So I heard that the concept of agent passport is very interesting. What problem does this idea of giving AI agents a passport actually solve?
The reason we use passport as a word is inspired by human passport.
So what's the difference between human wallet?
Yeah, so I think the biggest difference you can think of is wallets for human is, you can think is like a key that can sign something, can use to pay for something. But the passport has more than that. The passport is a key plus an identity and the mandate. Just like a human, right? Like a citizen, a national citizen of us, we all have our national ID, which allow us to apply for a credit card, apply for, even going to school. And then with that ID, you can also get a passport that allow you to apply for visa to access other countries. So that is kind of like very similar like a concept or similar like a design philosophy here, that's how you can not only have the agents have a solution to pay natively, but you can guard it. You can have like the guardrail add to that payment alongside with an identity that the agent can prove to the other side they're accessing and doing business with, that's who they are, where they come from, and what they want to do here. Because one thing that's constantly people run into right now, which also is one of the inspiration for us trying to build Kite to solve the solution, is agents right now in some way has still been treated as like a bot, an internet bot, to a lot of like the services or like a website they want to access, which usually will have a lot of like the blocking mechanism that's block the agent to access them. Because if you say you're a bot, then who knows if you're a good bot or a bad bot. So that's why, like, if you're applying, like even today when I come into the building, I need that card ID to get in. Why? It's because you're not sure if I'm a good person or bad. So I think that's like the additional layers and features we add on top of the wallet to make it as a passport.
네, 사실 이런 AI 에이전트가 자율적으로 좀 뭔가 관리하는 거에 있어서 많은 분들이 약간 불안감을 느끼실 수도 있을 것 같아요. 이거에 대해서 어떤 해답을 내놓고 있는지 한번 들어보겠습니다. So the idea of AI agents autonomously making payments can lead to the concerns like, is this really secure, or what if we lose control? So how is Kite AI technically managing this anxiety or the secure problems?
That's exactly why we designed the solution. Again, we think like if we just give agents a wallet as a human wallet, then you cannot control them because it's not human. You never know if they have any hallucination. So that's why what we call we had a multiple features add on top of that to allow guardrail. For example, like spending limits. That you can set up like all kinds of spending limits, which is in a very granular way. Enabled by smart contract that say, the agent cannot spend over like $5,000 this month. And for a particular vertical, or even like a vendor, like let's say if I do grocery, I use that, usually I do that on Amazon. Then I would say Amazon, for Amazon delivery on grocery, I will not allow them to do any time, like over $100 per purchase, and focus on what kind of like even the basket or like the white list of items. So all those type of like limits can be add there. And of course, like on top of that, the access rule that can be set based on like a per what we call session, which means like a per workflow granularity versus like the global access rule that's it's always set up there can be also tuned in a different way. So overall, I think the solution here, what we provide, is enable the agent builders to really fine-tune that granular control on what agent can do, especially when it comes to money. So with that, we can really like ease the anxiety a lot more.
그러니까 여러 가지의 통제 메커니즘을 애초에 설계할 때 좀 내재화하신다라고 말씀을 하셨는데요. 그럼 마지막으로 그 리테일 투자자나 일반 시청자들 입장에서는 이 카이트 AI를 계속 지켜봐야 할 이유, 그런 걸 꼽으신다면 어떤 걸 꼽으실지도 여쭤보겠습니다. So this would be the last question. From the perspective of retail investors or general viewers like me, if you had to pick just one reason why we should keep watching Kite AI, what would it be?
I think it's not just only watching Kite AI, it's watching the rise and thrive of the next generation infrastructure for agentic internet. Because of this paradigm shift, there's like such a big need and a big gap as well to really have a lot of native primitives and infra to support the agentic behavior and agentic transactions. So that to us, there's only 3 primitives or 3 paradigm shifts that happened on internet since 1990. So it's like 1990, that the beginning of like the desktop internet, to 2015, the rise, the beginning of like a mobile internet, to this year, the beginning of agentic internet. And usually for every single paradigm shift, there's a lot of like very big companies coming in both the consumer side and the business infrastructure side. So that's why I think with that paradigm shift, Kite really have the opportunity and a lot of like now leading positions to build the next generation payment infrastructure. What we in some way call it the next generation Stripe or next generation of PayPal to enable this future payment needs and identity needs for agents.
이 에이전틱 인터넷이 조금 계속해서 발전해 나가고 성장하고 부흥하는 걸 지켜본다라는 관점에서 좀 보시면 될 것 같고요. 그 AI 에이전트의 경제적인 독립을 현실화하는 그런 인프라라는 점도 눈여겨보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 네, 오늘 AI 에이전트가 스스로 결제를 하면서 경제 활동을 수행하는 구조, 이 카이트 AI에 대해서 좀 알아보는 시간을 저희가 가져봤습니다. 네, 좋은 인사이트 전해주신 카이트 AI의 치장 대표님은 여기서 보내드리도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 말씀 고맙습니다. Thank you for your word today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. 네, 저희는 다음 이 시간에 더욱더 좋은 프로젝트들 들고 다시 돌아오도록 할게요. 저희 방송 끝까지 함께해 주신 여러분 고맙습니다.